Hey guys, it's Adam here. I am once again in the UK, as you can see, both here from the Union Jack as well as the absence of sunlight, where once again it remains illegal. So today we're going to just do a quick video talking about Sega Mini hardware. Specifically, you see things like there's the Sega Mega Drive Mini, right? So walk with me, talk with me as I show you the town of Wolverhampton in the United Kingdom, where I currently am. So yes, Sega Mini hardware. Before we talk about that though, if you guys could do me a favor, please like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you've never done that before, check all the social media stuff in the description: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, Travel Channel. You guys get the routine. Thank you very much. All right, then let's go. So yes, as you saw, we have Sega Mini hardware. Now, I think it was last year, I did a video talking about like what happened with that, because we had the Sega Mega Drive Mini, as you just saw. Sega also released the Game Gear Mini of sorts in Japan. They also did the Astrocade or whatever is the arcade one that they released in Japan, as well as a limited version that came out, I think, only through limited run games in the US. And then they did the Sega Mega Drive Mini 2, which was just the smaller design, and it had some Sega CD titles in it and all that. But that's all they've done. And that, by the way, that second one came out like 2 years ago, and they haven't announced anything since. So what happened? Why are we even talking about this? So there was a small update here. There is nothing in the works. There was one of the producers of the second Mega Drive Mini who basically said, like, yeah, we're really not working on anything there. We still like the concept, but don't expect any sort of announcement in 2024, and nothing really in the works anytime soon. So effectively, this is an update that is to say there isn't an update, but basically it kind of tracks with what I had said in the past. Now, I did a video like I said, maybe earlier last year, whatever it was, I don't remember exactly when, but the core point of that video, other than like where are these things, was to tell the story that I knew, which was back in 2018 when I was helping Sega work on the Shenmue re-release. They were just kind of picking my brain about a bunch of stuff, and one of them, and they asked me specifically, was about a Dreamcast Mini and the concept of that. And all that really matters out of that conversation is they said the issue with it was that either they did it on the cheap, where it was all just PC ports and they could maybe sell it for like $100, but they didn't think people would be very happy with it, or they could do it correctly, where it's emulated very, very well and everybody really likes the product, but it would cost like $300. And they just thought market-wise it wasn't feasible, just because the Saturn wasn't popular enough in most countries. It really only maybe would work in Japan. Dreamcast was kind of the same deal. Like, that could kind of work, but the technology just isn't quite there. And then they were like, the Master System would probably work, but probably only in Europe. So funny enough, where I am right now, the UK in particular, the Master System is stupid popular here. So that one would probably work. So basically, it seems like what the guy was saying, the producer, he said, look, there's no announcement plans right now, but we are still looking towards the future of that possibility. It was kind of PR speak for the technology isn't quite there yet, and the money isn't quite there yet. Because I think what they want to do is they want to get it to a point where the technology, where they could probably sell you a good one, like a nice emulated version where everybody's happy with the product, particularly the Sega Saturn. That's what I think they want to do first, but they want to be able to sell it to you for maybe like $100, $150 and have, like, maybe 20 really good titles, as opposed to like very poorly emulated ones for like $300. Basically, his description of it was, along with what I was told years ago, it tracks to basically suggest that just give this more time. The longer this goes, the better the odds of this happening actually are, as far as the technological and financial possibility of it. The flip side of that, though, is that the whole mini thing is kind of mostly over. So there is no fad to it anymore. At this point, it would just be Sega deciding to do it just to do it. But I think, if you ask me, this is purely conjecture, purely an opinion, I do think they'll do it eventually, but it may take a few more years. Earliest you'd see something like that is 2025. And maybe they would, I still maintain if they did a Master System Mini, that would work really well, as long as they kind of mostly limited it to Europe, and you had some sort of token release of it in Japan and in the US, maybe again through something like limited run games. That might work. And then you have a few more years to figure out Saturn and Dreamcast. But to be fair, it was the Saturn that was the most demanded, which is interesting. It's an interesting change. So let me ask you guys, what would you do? Would you be happy with Apologies for the noise and everything. I can't edit any of this, and I hate trains. Europeans think they're really good at trains. They're not. Not that we're any good at it in the States. We're terrible at it, but whatever. The point is, I love aviation. Not so much trains. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so let me ask you again. If you were to get a Saturn Mini, Dreamcast Mini, whatever, realistically, not your fantasy price, your realistic price, what would you expect out of that? I personally think maybe 100 to 150 would be reasonable. And I would want better emulated versions. I would not want like PC ports just so they could technically give me the games. I would want them done correctly in a satisfactory way. Because like if you go back and actually look at the Mega Drive Mini 2, for example, Sega really went all out on that thing. Not only did they release it, they didn't just dump a bunch of Genesis games on it. They did that too, but they also released some Sega CD games they did very well. And on top of that, they even took a bunch of unfinished games, finished them, and threw them on there, which was really cool. I would like to see something like that with the Saturn. I know that there was, I don't know which game it was off the top of my head. I'm going to kind of cycle back around as we continue to look at Wolverhampton. But there was some Saturn game some developer showed that was mostly finished, like, I don't know, a year ago. And he's like, I can't release it or anything. It'd be cool to see something like that show up officially on the development kit, the Mini. Dreamcast, maybe you get an official release of something like Propeller Arena or whatever it is. That would be really cool. But I don't know. Those are just fantasies. I think that it would be cool to include something like that, kind of the way Nintendo put Star Fox 2 into the Super Nintendo Mini. But yeah, I'm kind of diverging, just kind of rambling at this point. So basically, yes, once again, what price point do you find realistic? What titles in particular would you want to see? Keep in mind the Saturn would be a little bit trickier because some of the games like Panzer Dragoon Saga are just lost to time as far as their source code. So I don't really know how that stuff would work, but in a fantasy world, what kind of price point would you consider realistic? And what games would you select? That's what I want to know. Because with Dreamcast, that would be easier. I think the weird thing about the Dreamcast, though, is that like 20, like maybe 19 of the top 20 most iconic Dreamcast games have been re-released on other hardware. I think Crazy Taxi 2 is really the only outlier that's kind of never really been on anything else. Although I could definitely be wrong about that. But yeah, so again, you guys tell me, which titles would you want? I'm genuinely curious. And do you think this will actually happen? I'm still in the camp of I think it will eventually. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, before I go here, this is a special message to British people in particular. This weekend, at the time I record this, on June 8th and June 9th, here in Wolverhampton, I will be at a convention called Revival Game Not Over. Not only myself, but the Sega Pluto will be there. My buddy Shen Muso, Ben, will also be there. A bunch of other people will be there. Come on out if you're anywhere in the area. And I mean that on the American scale, because really the UK is not a very big country. So anyone who's in the Midlands, I guess, we'll limit it to that. Or if anybody's just more adventurous coming up from London, or even down from Scotland, Alistair, I'm talking to you. If you guys feel like coming out to meet me and all that, I'll be there. So that'll do it for this particular video. Thank you guys very much for watching. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out all the social media stuff, description, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, Spreadshirt, Travel Channel, etc. Appreciate the support. Oh yeah, there'll be videos on Wolverhampton as well, by the way. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.